Hey friends, all right, I am working a very large piece tonight, and I've already been working on it a little bit. I'm just trying to get it to move, get that scale off there and just upset it. So whenever it starts, well, doing what it's doing, it's moving. It's one of those times where I wish I was one of them big money guys and I had one of them power hammers that I could just run this thing in and out of. But now with this one, I've got to keep her hot. And even though you're looking at it right now going, man, well, Corey, that's plenty hot right there, and it's not. It needs to be hotter. I've got to have her up 2200 plus, and right now she's come back down to about 1800 degrees, and so put her back in here and let this get to work. But wanted to come to you tonight because I'm sorry as I step away, but grab my Bible here. In John chapter 10, starting in verse 1, you know, when the Lord calls us and we answer, that makes us His. And, you know, there's a verse that says that, you know, many will come and say, Lord, Lord, look at what all I've done. And He's going to say, depart from me, I never knew you. But in John 10, starting in verse 1, it said, most assuredly, I say to you, he who does not enter the sheepfold by the door, but climbs up some other way, the same is a thief and a robber. But he who enters by the door is the shepherd of the sheep. To him the doorkeeper opens, and the sheep hear his voice. And he calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. And whenever he brings out his own sheep, he goes before them, and the sheep follow him, for they know his voice. Yet they will by no means follow a stranger, but will flee from him, for they do not know the voice of the stranger. You know, in Revelation, we read that there's going to be a trumpet sound, and we also read that Jesus' voice is like that of a trumpet. And whenever the trumpet sounds, we're going to be taken away. And whenever I say we that know Him, that know Jesus, because He is our shepherd, and we're going to respond to His voice, and we're going to be caught up, and we're going to go to Him. And it's just so awesome. You know, and as a cowboy growing up and going to rodeos, and then I remember Aunt Della, you know, she had her chickens out there. But even those chickens, they knew Aunt Della's voice. Where if I went out to go feed them, and I went out to go get those eggs, they would. There's a couple of them that would hunt me down. There's a couple of roosters out there that were kind of mean. But whenever Aunt Della would go out there, and she'd still be in her slippers, and she'd have on her house coat, and man, it was such a good memory. But I just remember them chickens, whenever she'd go beep, 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 they had all come gather up to her. And then she'd reach down in her little apron there, and she'd pour out some corn, pour out some seed. But that's exactly what Jesus does with us. He comes out, he calls us, and we come running to him because we know that whenever he calls us, we're going to be fed, and he's going to keep us safe and free from harm. Friends, I love you, and I pray that you get into this word and that you know the voice of the shepherd, that you know the voice of Jesus. I love y'all. Hey, check it out. Disciples making disciples. Bearded Rev. Love y'all.